Hello and welcome. My name is Dan Castle, and today we're going to be expanding on something that we talked about yesterday. It was a very interesting topic. We had a live last night, and I feel like we could further explore this topic about mercenaries. And you can see the title of this live is U.S. Hypocrisy: Why Americans Can Fight for Ukraine but Not Russia. So I'm going to be expanding on this topic. I'm going to be showing you a bunch of videos, and we're just going to have a quick discussion amongst us people who are going to be on this live. As people tune in, they're going to be met with um, one of early videos that I want to show is we're going to be looking at the POW video from Patrick Lancaster. We're going to be looking at sections of it before we begin the presentation, because in this video you're going to get to see the perspective from the Russian front. It has come to my attention and many people that there has been mercenaries fighting on both sides. And on yesterday's live video, we talked about how unfair when it comes to the end game. If you do come back as a mercenary and you did serve in the Ukrainian military, you're held as a hero. But if you go back to the United States and you fought for the Russians, that might absolutely ruin your life. So we're going to be looking into this today in this live. Let's wait till people load in a little bit. Let's give it some time here. And for now, please let me know where you're watching from. Every time you tune in, let me know if you can hear me. Is my sound okay? Is the video quality all right? And yes, we'll get into it soon enough once we load in a few more people. Okay, guys? Hey, what's up, Daniel? What's up, brother? I hope you're doing good. Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, wow, Kentucky. Now remember, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. I think I got the notifications fixed today. I'm not sure if it's working. So if somebody can just unsubscribe and subscribe again, maybe you'll write in on a bear with Putin. We're not sure. Sao Paulo, Brazil. All right. Ohio, Ciudad de Panamá, Panamá. ¿Hablas inglés? ¿Entiendes el inglés? ¿Estás en Panamá? Are you watching from Panama? Do you speak English, or are you there on vacation? Привет is Servi? I don't know where that is. So we're going to get started here. We have about 30 people, and we're going to get started. Remember, if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. We're going to get started on this show. Today's topic, the hypocrisy of the United States. Why can Americans fight for Ukraine and not for Russia? So here we go. Oh, that's Serbia in, really cool. Let me know again if you could hear.
Back control by Russian forces from Ukrainian control here. There's been so many prisoners of war taken by Russian forces, Ukrainian soldiers, prisoners of war. And we wanted to discuss this a bit. Of course, we're not going to be interviewing prisoners of war. We stay far away from that. But we're going to be discussing the reactions by governments, particularly the Russian government, how Vladimir Putin has commented on prisoners of war, particularly the foreign fighters, or mercenaries, volunteers, whatever you want to call it. He says that these mercenaries, as he put it, are not covered under the Geneva Convention and do not get the rights of the Geneva Convention. And we've been talking to soldiers about what they think about prisoners of war and what the reactions are. And we've got some pretty intense answers, and it really seems like the fact now is these foreign mercenaries or foreign fighters foreign volunteers, whatever, as I said, whatever you want to call them, really have two choices, two options, possible outcomes when they're captured by Russian forces: death or jail. And I say jail because there was just on, I believe, the beginning of the March, a British soldier, mercenary, volunteer, whatever, captured by, he was captured months ago by Russian forces, but his court case, his jury trial ended in Russia just at the beginning of this month, and he was sentenced to 19 years. So it really seems like Russia is not putting up with foreign fighters, foreign mercenaries. They're getting a pretty hard stance on it. It seems like death or jail. And he was, as I said, sentenced to 19 years for, I believe, terrorism. So this is the fact. This is what's happening with these foreign fighters here that Russia catches on Russian soil. So we're going to go forward. We're going to show you what some of the soldiers in Russian forces have to say about these POWs, and particularly the foreign fighters that are captured. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we're totally independent, crowd-funded journalists. You can support my work with the link on the screen or in the description. Now, we've got a lot more to come. And also go down and click on that pinned comment and subscribe to my Substack. So much more information goes. You're going to get the most out of my journalism if you subscribe to my Substack. It's a must. So please like, share, and subscribe. Let's go to get some information from some soldiers about this POW, foreign volunteer, fighter, mercenary situation, and what Russia is really doing. Предзайца спасибо.
Осетин, посыльной.
Вы откуда?
Северная Осетия.
И как обстановка здесь?
Все теперь хорошо. Все зачистили. Враг отчаянно сопротивлялся, до последнего не хотел уходить. Но силами спецназа Ахмат силами нашего командования, руководства, снабжения у нас идеальное. Командование не отправляет нас на мясо. Сделали все красиво, освободили деревню. Было 2 мирных жителей, много людей расстреляли, когда отступали украинские вооруженные силы. Расстреливали гражданское население. Очень много. Было, кстати, американские солдаты, а-ля ваши наемники. Нет, да, были.
Я понимаю, я ничего.
Польские солдаты здесь валялись с документами. У нас там один этот есть. Каска с позывным его, всем остальным. Там натовские мины, вот там могу показать вам, если надо.
Вчера посмотрим,
Ну, вот так вот ваш союзник воюет против нас. Погибает мирное население. То, что мы воюем...
Okay, we'll pause it there. This footage, again, is from Patrick Lancaster, and today's conversation is mercenary work and the hypocrisy that the United States government has, where, you know, the Americans can fight for the Ukrainians, come back as heroes. And today I'm going to be showing you some videos from the past all the way to the present. So there's been Americans fighting on the Ukrainian side since the beginning. And we're going to see how the news portrays them. Because the biggest problem is that our media in America for the last 3 years has made heroes of people who went to fight for the Ukrainians. And this is a really bad thing, you know. Mercenary work is already bad, but to promote it and to have it on national news in America, it only infects other people's minds. And when we watch these videos and we see why they went to fight, pay attention. Look how they talk. Look how they present themselves. They don't look normal. These guys look like they're missing a screw there, okay? So let's go ahead and watch some of these interviews that I lined up for you guys. These are news reporters reporting on American mercenaries in the Ukrainian side. Hello. Was ist los bei dir? Hallo, Deutschland. Germania. Okay, so I'm gonna play for you guys a couple of these so you can see how they're portrayed on the news. Now keep in mind, these guys are fighting for the Ukrainian side. Look how they act and look how they carry themselves, okay?
All right. So far, we took out 7 Russian tanks. After a long fight, we took control of the area. And we're going to just kind of sweep around and see what we got left. Some stragglers. Take them out. Call it a day. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, baby. Yeah, buddy. 1, 2, 3, 4 Russian tanks taken out. Call that a good day. I don't know if you guys know what this is behind me, but that's a Russian tank. Russian tank that was taken out.
All right, he's standing in front of this tank. Can you guys hear me? Let me see. I can fix this. 1 second. Sorry about the sound. But essentially, this guy's talking about we destroyed a certain amount of tanks, and if you see on the advertisement here, on the report, it says after Zelensky urged for international help. So this is where the problem begins, man. The problem begins where American or other news outlets are saying, hey, Zelensky's asking for help, and people actually respond to that. And it seems like lunacy, guys. We've been through this for 3 years. You know, the Green Goblin, the Ungrateful Goblin. For all those channel members, if you have channel membership, you can go ahead and spam the Green Goblin on our channel right now. The Green Goblin has taken so much money from America, taken a lot of soldiers and mercenaries from America, and it's taken a lot of the attention from other things that we have happening in the United States. Now, please, if you're a member of this channel, spam the Green Goblin, the Ungrateful Goblin. It's going to be a Zelensky face. There he is, Jimmy Boyles putting it, the Ungrateful Goblin. It is absolutely disgusting to read. After President Zelensky urged for international help. Now, this was posted on 2 years ago, okay? Keep that in mind, guys. We're going to be kind of going in order. This is from 2 years ago. All right, and now we're gonna be looking at a more. This one right here is absolutely crazy to me. We're gonna be looking at an interview of 2 American POWs that were released by the Russians. Okay, 2 mercenaries were taken as prisoners of war, and it seems like every American who's ever been captured has been let go. It says something about the diplomatic ties between Russia and the United States. The British guy that was sentenced to some time in jail, that's the first one that I actually know of where the Russians actually dropped a hammer on him. So let's go ahead and look at this interview here. Please pay attention to how they look and how they act. You're going to notice something really fast, that these guys are not actual warriors.
Russians and were captured, spending more than 3 months in captivity. They say they were tortured. We want to warn you, some of the details are tough to hear. Whit Johnson has the story. Good morning, Whit.
George, good morning. These men knew the U.S. government did not want them to travel to Ukraine. They knew that some would question why they would put their lives on the line to fight in a foreign war. But they insist they could not stand the images of innocent Ukrainians fleeing their home. And they say despite their harrowing ordeal, they have no regrets.
There were a lot of times that I would think, I am going to die.
American military veterans Alex Druki and Andy Huynh taken into Russian custody while volunteering to fight for Ukraine, surviving 105 days in captivity.
My mission was to keep Andy alive. Andy's mission was to keep me alive.
What was it like hearing your friend screaming in pain?
I mean, it's awful because I know he's in pain, but at least I knew he was alive. It was good and bad at the same time.
So just those little moments, just to recognize each other's presence,
Right. Yep,
gave you a little bit of strength.
Yes, little sparks of hopes.
Both say they felt called to serve in Ukraine, despite the risks and repeated warnings.
Did it give you pause that the State Department, the president himself, said, don't go?
Yeah, I definitely researched it. The U.S. government will not be backing me up on this. And I was aware of that. I was 100% aware of that. It scared me.
Okay. The United States government issues a warning: do not go and fight for Ukraine. Okay, these guys went and fought for Ukraine, and now they're on national television. Now let's switch the roles. Imagine there was Americans who were captured by the Ukrainians. First of all, I think they would be dead. The Ukrainians would actually kill those Americans. There's no doubt about it. If the Ukrainians were to ever capture any Americans who were fighting for the Russians, there's almost a guarantee that the Ukrainians would kill them. There was a Gonzalo Lira who was in Ukraine. He was just a normal civilian, and he was absolutely made disappear, right? Now, if we switch the roles, would America try to free the prisoners from Ukraine? These are the questions that we really have to think about. These are the things that nobody wants to talk about. The hypocrisy of the United States. It is absolutely evident, and it's happening all the time. We have the donations back on the screen now. Spasibo, you see that little cute girl? Thank you so much for the donation. Let's see, there's also hypocrisy of Israel being allowed to defend itself against the bad people. Yes. So the conflict in Ukraine and the conflict between the Palestinians and Israel, which not even the Palestinians, it's just Hamas, totally different geopolitical reasons why those are happening. But one thing I want to say is they choose who the bad guy is all the time. The media decides who's going to be the bad guy for each conflict. And, you know, you unfortunately have to deal with it because it is a huge wave. I personally cannot stand the fact that those guys said that they didn't want to sit back and see what was happening to Ukrainian cities, as if they didn't know that Ukraine was already inflicting damage on its own people. There's evidence of this happening on YouTube. We're going to look into that as well. So a lot of these guys who say they wanted to defend Ukraine, where were they when Ukraine needed help from Ukraine, okay? Keep that in mind as we continue watching these videos. A lot of these people are brainwashed. They only know the conflict from when it started. For them, it started in 2022. Good morning, Mom. That's my mom. She's waking up now.
I still know I had to go.
Andy and Alex were living in Alabama, but didn't know each other before meeting overseas. Their very first mission in the spring would be their last.
How quickly did it go wrong?
Real quick, the fog of war is a real thing.
What should have been a simple recon mission wasn't a simple recon mission.
We did manage to evade the enemy, trying to make our way back home on foot for about 8 hours, working our way through thick woods.
We have to worry about drones, landmines, tripwires.
And then you were captured.
When we surrendered, they stripped us of all our equipment. They put us on our knees, bound our hands, put bags on our heads, and we were pretty darn sure they were going to execute us.
When those moments occurred, who were you thinking about?
My first thought was actually my fiance. was my first thought. Then like a split second right after was like, oh, I'm gonna die.
They're taken behind enemy lines. This photo, posted online by a known Russian propagandist, shows the two men on that journey in the back of a military truck.
A couple times we physically got beat and said, welcome to Russia. So like that was kind of a telltale sign that we were in Russia.
They woke us up at like 3 in the morning one time and just for no reason just beat us. They cracked 4 of my ribs for no reason.
Okay, this is the crazy thing that makes my blood boil. They were told that they are not under the Geneva Convention, and he's saying for no reason. You know, this is what I'm saying. You can't make this shit up. if you're illegally going to fight after your government says don't do it, you get captured by the enemy and they're going to beat the crap out of you, you are not a soldier, you're a mercenary. You do not fall under the Geneva Convention. You're essentially a prisoner of war, lower tier. Okay, prisoners of war are soldier to soldier in a combative space. When you capture a mercenary, you're capturing I don't even know how to describe it. There's no words to describe what you are if you're captured as a mercenary. You're not a prisoner of war. You don't exist. Okay, keep that in mind as when they're explaining what's happening and this is being pushed out on mass media, the perception in America becomes, why did the Russians beat them up? Why are they bruised? Listen, I fought for the United States Marine Corps. If I were to handle a Taliban the way that they were handled, it would be a crime against the Geneva Convention because even though we were fighting an unconventional war, there was rules of engagement. But if I were a mercenary and I was working for Blackwater, I could absolutely do whatever I want to those Afghan people and they could do the same to me. These guys were fighting under no rules in war and they expected to be treated right. Let's continue watching. Absolute criminals.
One point, you guys were moved to what was called a black site.
We call it the black site because it's a place that doesn't exist because things happen there that shouldn't happen. That's where the real interrogation and torture actually happened.
Some of their injuries still visible today. Bruises on their wrists from tight bindings. Andy's back covered in scars from relentless bed bugs. They say their captors even gave them electric shocks during interrogations.
It's not just physical torture. There was a lot of mental torture. I mean, we were sleep deprived. We were purposefully dehydrated. We were put in a lot of stress positions that honestly, some of those are worse than the punches.
When they were interrogating you, what kind of information did they want?
A lot of it was verification. They swore up and down that we were CIA, secret, covert government operatives.
The two men eventually appearing on Russian television, delivering pro-Russian propaganda messages they say were filmed under duress.
What were some of the things you were forced to say?
How great Russia is and how great Putin is.
Did they tell you what would happen to you if you didn't follow the script?
Rape, murder, kill you, cut off fingers.
Back in the U.S., Alex's mother and Andy's fiance making public pleas for their safe return.
I know that with everybody working on it, we're going to get them home.
Not knowing at the time that the Saudi government was quietly arranging a prisoner swap between Ukraine and Russia.
Isn't that the same place where they're doing peace talks right now, guys? Isn't that the same place? So let's see when this was recorded. Let's see when this was recorded. It looks like it's maybe the same place. This was Saudi Arabia, right? This was 2 years ago. Where are the peace talks being done now? Does anybody know where the peace talks are being done now? Because if it's in the same place as this, it's kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen in the future. Oh, okay, the Emirates. All right, well, anyways, here we go. Let's continue watching this.
Russia. Finally, Alex and Andy were told they'd be freed, but say those last hours of captivity were the most trying.
We were bound again. We had bags put on our head. They took packing tape and tightly wrapped that around our eyes and then locked us together in the back of a military truck.
How unbearable was it?
We prayed for death. We just wanted to die. We just wanted to end.
You prayed for death in this moment.
In my head, even though I was like, even if it is an exchange, I don't care. This just has to stop.
We wanted to die, yeah. The process to getting freed was a very high price.
Their flight to freedom landing in Riyadh on September 21st before they headed back home to the U.S.
I didn't fully believe that I was getting released until U.S. Embassy representative. He said, "This is real, brother. You are being changed. This is real. You are safe."
You have no regrets?
No regrets.
Would you go back? Yes.
Okay. No regrets, and they would go back. if you look at the face of the Caucasian individual, he looks like a weak man who has no prior military experience, who's never been in combat. The other doughboy, you have to really pay attention to these things, guys. Look at these guys right here, okay? How is the guy in the left? How is the guy above me right here? How is he that fat? If he was looking, and if he was having such a bad time in the prison camp, how is he that fat? Okay, these are the type of things that real people with something in between their ears, they can put together. The brown man is absolutely way too fat to have been suffering in a POW camp. He was being fed. Now, another thing is the Caucasian man. Why the heck are you saying you would go back on national television after you just said you guys were enveloped while doing something very easy? Why would you want to go back? When we talk about, when they said that the Russians forced them to say something, it feels like they're being forced to say something on American television. So that is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. For sure, somebody told them to say certain things. Both sides, if one cannot be true without the other, let's just say, okay, maybe the Russians made him say something, but it was probably true. And maybe the Americans made him say something too, but you can't play these games. It's absolutely lunacy. Yes, thank you so much. We have a couple channel members on. If you're a channel member, please spam the Russian flag, because this is ridiculous. Let's keep going here. We're gonna finish off this interview here.
You would? Yeah. I think I'd go back in a slightly different capacity. I would go back for rebuilding after the war.
For me, I know my fiance, my family, like her family, they all say no.
Now, both men say that they're currently working out details to share their full accounts with U.S. officials. We also reached out to the Russian embassy for comment, but so far have not heard back. George?
They say they have no regrets with, but they do have some survivor's guilt.
George, that's right. Even though their circumstances were different, they do say that they feel some guilt that they were able to come home and that other Americans like Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner are still stuck.
Ridiculous. Survivor's guilt. Jean-Michael using his chat to spam the Russian flag. Listen, guys, something really wrong about that interview. One last thing before we move on to the next interview. The thing that bothers me the most is that the anchors don't ask real questions, like hard topic questions. Like if I was interviewing them, I would say, do you have any prior military experience, or did you just go? That would have been off the top, because the majority of them could be really good examples of why not to go. I told you guys yesterday that if you have no military experience and you go fight in a war, you're going to get your allies killed. And these guys were essentially packs. They have to get carried by the Ukrainians. I'm speaking militarily. There was no hard questions asked. Okay. Yeah, this is ridiculous. The hypocrisy continues. We're going to be looking at another interview, guys. Please again subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This is the second or third, fourth live that we've done this week. Sometimes I choose these topics because it's worth talking about.
Or in Ukraine from an American volunteer who fought in it. Ukraine's army is preparing to try and recapture the key southern city of Kherson and fighting off Russian attacks in the northeast. Ukraine's president says Russian artillery strikes are, quote, driving people to their deaths. Holly Williams is in Kyiv, that's Ukraine's capital city, with more on the story. Holly, good morning to you.
Good morning. We've been reporting on this war now for over 8 months, and it's extremely rare to get an unvarnished account of what it's like at the tip of the spear as Ukraine battles Russia's invasion. But that's exactly what we heard from an American who volunteered to fight with Ukrainian forces. And we should warn you that his interview contained some disturbing material.
You could hear shooting, but then you could also hear grunts and people like fighting to the death with...
I have to pause. Everybody in chat, if you're watching, do you remember the first two guys we saw? They didn't look like warriors. Well, what is that? What did I just do? I don't know. The first two guys that we saw, they didn't look like warriors. This guy that we're looking at now, does he look like a warrior to you? Does this guy look like somebody who should be does this look like somebody who should be going to go fight a war? Again, I question all of these things because a lot of these people are sick in the head, guys. They are volunteering because they're sick in their head. They got taken advantage of. I'm telling you, there has been a weird swaying of the minds in America.
their bare hands. It's a very unique sound when you hear that many death rattles.
He's from Tennessee, he told us, and came to fight in Ukraine because he was horrified by the Russian invasion. He wants to be known only by his call sign, Elvis.
The carnage you're describing sounds like something out of World War II.
Yeah. This is nothing like any conflict in the past 70 to 80 years. This war is not sustainable for either side.
Okay. This war is not sustainable for either side. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, these are not military geniuses that are fighting for the Ukrainian side. Let's continue watching. He looks shook. From all three that we've watched so far, this guy looks the most shook. And you could tell he's probably the weakest out of all of them. He was probably some junkie in Portland. I don't know. I don't know where they got this guy.
On the front line in southern Ukraine, he says he repeatedly witnessed Russian forces using white phosphorus munitions.
It comes down extremely slow, but there's nothing you can do, and everything it touches just incinerates.
Including this incident.
Probably about 20 or 30 guys burning alive, and several gunshots, because there's nothing else they do. So a lot of guys have suicide pistols, and you'd hear them scream, and then they would say goodbye and then blow their own heads off.
So you actually heard 20 to 30 soldiers being burned alive.
All right. I don't want to get in trouble. This guy is getting a little bit too sad here. But you see the caliber of people who are fighting on the Ukrainian side. We're going to move on to the next one. I have quite the people here for you. This next one is a mercenary female. Now, this to me is one of the bigger problems, okay? If a country is using American females to fight, to me, it makes absolutely no sense. In war, I never met a female. Men were supposed to fight in my war. And to know that we have American women going over there to fight and potentially die for this country of Ukraine, it makes absolutely no sense. Okay, it makes absolutely no sense. And I'll tell you why. Nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna care. All right, so here we have this is an American female. This is a medic on the Ukrainian front lines, okay? And to be honest, none of these people have yet to feel any regrets. Except that little skinny guy, he's probably a little bit scared, but they really feel like they're doing the right thing. All they had to do is research on YouTube the conflict since 2014. There's a lot of information out there. They all say that they were disgusted with the way the Russians were in Ukraine. This is them speaking.
Psychologically and morally impactful. And the only thing I think that keeps me sane is my soldiers around me. Drones are the lifeline right now. Okay, so when I can't physically take a machine and evac the injured soldiers, I have to send medication in, to send bandages in. Drones are the only way that my soldiers get aid sometimes.
Rebecca is leading a team of Ukrainians very, very close to the front line. They're running a medical point. They run medical evacuations under extreme danger. Many of their comrades are actually stuck, unable to be evacuated in the town of Tereks, which has got a small group of Ukrainians still in it, and the Russians are fighting hard to take it over. But there's no doubt about what she feels about Donald Trump.
How do you respond when you see Donald Trump and J.D. Vance climb in on Zelensky in the Oval Office and then cut aid?
I don't even have words. It was awful. Yeah. Felt like a knife in the back.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
I'm watching on the feed as like hit after hit goes to my position, and we're waiting to find out who's dead or injured. And Donald Trump's voice is in the background saying like, well, they could have had a deal, and it would have been a very good deal. Your friends and soldiers that you've taken care of potentially die in front of you while you're listening to a leader of a democratic country say it doesn't matter.
Would you welcome a ceasefire?
I don't think a ceasefire will be honored. I don't think a ceasefire will be honored. I would absolutely love the chance to get my wounded guys out and for them to have some rest and respite. But based on history and based on Russia's proven behavior over and over again, I can't even fathom a world in which a ceasefire was actually honored. And I actually told the guys, I said, I will stay right here and I will be the first to report if they violate it. And I will report it live. And I will say, as an American on the ground in Ukraine, I can tell you, because God knows that it has to be verified and credentialed if a Ukrainian says it. I can tell you right now, I am experiencing an attack that is from Russia during a mandated, signed ceasefire.
All right, so she's obviously confused. This was 7 days ago, and this woman has no idea what she's talking about. She's thinking that there's a ceasefire on the whole contact line, and there's never been something issued like that. This woman is absolutely brainwashed. She's wearing the Ukrainian flag on her patch, on her shoulders there, and she's absolutely brainwashed. I really feel like all of these people who go and volunteer are lacking their own something here, you know? It's a clear sign of brainwashing when they're all talking about the same thing and acting like victims. You go and join as a mercenary and then you complain when your side is losing. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. It's never been this way. It should have never been this way. Nobody should have ever pushed forward. Thank you, brother. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for giving out those memberships. Guys, if you're getting free membership from the Iranian Putin, make sure to give him Putin love. That is two. If you're just becoming a member, make sure to give the Iranian Putin 2 thumbs up. We have these emojis. You're gonna see Putin love. It's 2 thumbs up like this. Welcome to the welcome to the stream, Iranian Putin. We've been going over the hypocrisy of the United States allowing people to serve the Ukrainian military. We've been looking at the captured Americans speak illy about Russia, even though they don't fall under the Geneva Convention. It's been ridiculous, man. Guys, remember, if you earned membership through the gift by Iranian Putin, make sure to give him Putin love. These are the emojis on the screen for you there. You got to give him the 2 thumbs up by good old President Vladimir Putin, right? Hello to everybody watching. Let's take a break here. Let's take a quick break and answer some questions, guys. Whoa, thank you so much, brother. Again, we have the donation alerts back on, it looks like. Thank you, ADH. Welcome to the stream. Let's handle some questions. Let's maybe get some things cleared out here. I've already spoke to you guys and told you how I feel. We will also be looking at Russian mercenaries from the United States. And I don't support either, guys. If you're going to be joining a military or a conflict, might as well become a citizen. One big difference that that Russia does, it does give citizenship very fast to its mercenaries, therefore making them citizens and regular soldiers. We saw this yesterday. Ukraine takes a long time to give citizenship to its mercenaries, and they stay mercenaries. On yesterday's video, we learned that the Russian Federation has contracts where they actually give citizenship. Different way of handling their mercenaries. But let's get some questions out of the way, guys. Feel free to ask some questions, and we're gonna get to see some American mercenaries. Odious writes, says, I'm being attacked by Russia during a ceasefire. What ceasefire? She's yeah, exactly. She you know what we're saying. Yeah, so why can't I serve in the military? Because I'm too military aware, I'm too trained, and I know that because I lack Russian language, I would end up hurting my team. I've already said that if I'm going to do anything to do with the military, it's not going to be serving Russia, it's going to be humanitarian work, and I would go clean the landmines from the new territories as humanitarian work and not flying any flag. I would do this as a gift to humanity, but I would not fight personally because I don't speak Russian, and I would actually hinder my team. You want to speak the same language. A lot of these units in Ukraine are mixed language groups, and they fell in combat. I hope that answered your question. Are the Chechens considered Russian mercenaries? No. Russians come in many ethnicities from many republics. You have to understand, Russia is a federation. The Russian Federation has many republics inside Russia. Chechens are full-blown Russian citizens. They're just different forces. It's just how it is. Mr. Count, thank you for subscribing and coming into the channel Riding on a Bear. Let's get more questions out of the way here. ADH asks, I have a Russian military hat with pins. Can you identify it? Is there an email I can send it to? If you want to get in contact with me, join the Russian Experience Telegram. You can write me directly through Telegram, guys. Odessa will not be taken by the Russian military. Odessa will not be fought over. Not how we think. Odessa could be taken diplomatically. We mentioned this the other live. There's a lot of things that the Russian military can do, but there's a lot of things that is not worth doing. Okay? When you're talking militarily, guys, you have to understand that there's objectives that the Russian military can take, but there is not objectives that are worth taking. Just please pay attention to what I just said. Hey, thank you so much, brother, for giving oh, look at that. Really cool. Dead Ukrainians, you know the rules of this chat, brother. When you get memberships gifted, you have to give the 2 thumbs up. Mr. President Putin loves. Use your new emoji options down below, and you can Well, I'll just call you. I'll just call you. I don't know what to call you, but just make sure to use the new emojis. Maybe reload, refresh your page, and you'll be allowed to use the emojis. So we're gonna continue on. I'm gonna answer one more question. How is your opinion about Trump? Does he want to end the war? He definitely wants to end the war. He wants to end the war because he's losing in Ukraine. This has never been a NATO thing. This has always been a proxy war for the United States. We got that out of the way yesterday. United States leads NATO. It is the major force behind NATO. The Ukrainians are one major battle away from losing this conflict. This is why Donald Trump is looking for peace now. If the Ukrainians are caught in an unconditional surrender, America has no deal on the table. America wants to end the conflict before an unconditional surrender by the Ukrainian forces. I'll say it again, this is not something that you're going to hear anywhere else. None of these officers are talking about this. All of these people who do military analysis are not talking about these things because they don't see it for the conflict that it really is. It is a proxy war between America and Russia, the classic. Okay, and NATO has been wanting to get in. That's why you hear we're going to send troops. We want to take part in this. The Europeans are wanting to join the peacemaking deal so bad. So yes. Thank you again, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. So you have to understand, when you're going to lose, you seek peace immediately. Vaughn, thank you for the donation, brother. I believe the Wagners are different than regular mercenaries. They were fighting for the good guys. Yeah, so the Wagnerites, it was the first of its kind, Vaughn. What the PMC, what the Wagner did was become the mercenaries of a country. We all knew they were the Russian mercenaries of choice. They were brought up in Russia. These were special forces that became a PMC. Now, these guys ended up being engulfed into the regular military of Russia, which explains their trajectory from the beginning to the end. The Wagner guys were Russian. They served the Russian Federation. They were never an ordinary mercenary group. They had an air force. They had artillery. They had all sorts of logistics. They had really good infantry and special forces. They had tanks. These were men who were backed by an entire government. So when I'm talking about mercenaries, I'm talking about individuals, not private military companies of the caliber that was Wagner. Wagner was the first of its kind, and in the future we might see more PMCs like them because they were just absolutely so strong. So they were a breed of their own. And I'm going to be visiting Prigozhin's memorial here in Irkutsk, and I'm going to be recording it for Vaughn especially. So it's really interesting, and it's really nice that he brings up the Wagner guys. It is what it is, man. So I hope I answered some of your guys' questions. We're going to continue on with the show. We're going to be looking at the other side of this, okay? Let's see. I'm going to be showing you guys the other side of the coin. Now remember, if you want to join us and you want to communicate with me, you can join the Telegram. The Telegram is going to be pinned here. It is the Russian Experience. That is how you can get a hold of me directly, and you can see what I'm up to, what we're going to be doing. Good night, Daniel. Good night, my friend. Let's go ahead and look at the other side here. This is so when I look this question, why would NATO exist if US was not a part of it? So NATO was something that was created because Europe is weak. And America understands that it's being anchored down by Europe. And NATO would exist even without the United States, but it would be a shell of itself. Europe cannot just move continents. There has to be something there. So it is what it is. Let's see. This is going to be a Russian volunteer, guys. An American on the Russian side.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I served 10 years in the U.S. Air Force, some years in the Massachusetts Air National Guard, and I did 2 years as a city councilor. And when I got involved in politics, I zoomed out into the international level of politics, and you really kind of stop and pause and think about what's going on here, and you feel like you have to do something about it. So I came in January, I spent some time in Moscow, then I came to Donetsk. I was in contact with some of the folks in Pyatnashka, the International Brigade in Donetsk, and I served there for 3 months. And then after that, I had some friends that went on to serve with the Ministry of Defense, the 137th Brigade, where we're here. And they said, well, come on, it's great. And
keep in mind, he started off as a mercenary, but you can see now that he's an actual soldier now. The gear that he has is probably state issued. This is a big difference from the Ukrainian ones. This guy is a regular soldier in the regular army, but he did start off as a mercenary, he said. Now, we know about him. He's also not a combat veteran. He's also not a real military man, but he is serving in the regular army. There's a big difference in mercenary groups and the regular army. The regular army is supported by everything that the army has, and you're more likely to operate as a normal soldier. Your experience will be much better in the regular army than in a mercenary group. Keep that in mind.
so I decided to join them, and here we are. You said good skill. I didn't say it. Yeah, no, I had training. I had academic training. I was an E6. It's a tech sergeant. My job is air-based defense. It's military, police, security forces. We deal with things like drones and other things, other problems, internal, external. And yeah, I've definitely been able to apply some of those skills, leadership skills as well here. The United States and Russia are not at war. The United States has done things that are very provocative, very bad. It's been involved in other people's politics, other nations' interests, and should not be doing that. I always say, and Sergei Lavrov said this a couple of weeks ago, I think that the country is ran by different people than the people that live in the country and feel a different way. I think it's important we've got an election coming up in the United States. I think it's important for people to just, do their own research and kind of read about things from independent news outlets and understand what's really going on here. Understand that this started back in 2014 with our politicians coming down here and saying all sorts of different things and making all sorts of different promises. And this doesn't represent the true interests of the American people. It's not, it's not what benefit.
No, for the guys wondering who this guy is, he's an Air Force veteran. He mentioned it. I think he was in E6 in the Air Force, and his MOS is essentially military police and defending bases. Now, I'm gonna answer some of your guys' questions, but what I'm getting from him, the way he talks, the way he explains things, you can see the big difference, right? If you've been watching this live from the beginning, can you guys please comment what are some differences that you see between this guy and the other guys, okay? Let's look at some differences. Okay? Let's look at the differences here, guys. Please comment what differences you see, how they talk, how they express themselves, what's going on in their heads, right? How they communicate a thought. These two guys. There's been a huge difference. We started this live almost an hour ago, and we see the immediate difference how they articulate a thought, their backgrounds. on every occasion that we looked on Americans for the Ukrainian mercenaries, each one of them said, we didn't like how it was, so we went. What's different is that this guy who went for the Russians, he said, well, I did my research and I traveled to Russia and then I did this and that. He gives you a timeline and he actually thinks about what he did. He articulates his thoughts in a way that you can comprehend them, digest them, and understand what he's saying. The other guys were absolutely not professional. They looked like they were lost in the sauce and they couldn't justify their actions. Let's continue.
Is it for the United States to have multi-million-dollar tanks rolling down here trying to kill people? You know, missiles firing at a beach of innocent people. You know, what interest is that? F-16s, there's no interest to that. You know, our country's trillions of dollars in debt. Our country's collapsing. It's falling apart. And, you know, it's just not, in my opinion, representative of the real interests of the American people. So when I hear that question, you know, I don't consider myself a traitor. The United States and Russia aren't at war. And, you know, in the future, I think that the people that caused this in my country should be held responsible for what they've done. And we can have some sort of friendship between Russia and the United States. You know, I've worked downrange with these guys, like we say, in the U.S. military on the front. And I absolutely trust them to have my back 100%. And I know for a fact that they trust me as well. And, you know, what I always tell people is, because this is a question that comes up in the U.S. military, it's about the people that you're with. It's about the people that, you know, you're serving with, because this isn't, you know, this is, to be realistic, this is a dangerous situation. You know, we're all down here serving, we're doing our job. But what makes it or breaks it is the people that you're with. And, you know, these guys have been great. They speak English, they're professionals. You know, they help you when you need it. If I don't have something or if I don't understand something, I'm like, oh, awesome, like, no problem, normal, you know, see how to show. You know, they teach me words, they teach me Russian, you know, they help me to deal with, you know, my girlfriend, sложно, девушка, you know, and they help me to navigate, you know, all the complexities. And
Nice. So again, I don't support mercenary work, but he's not a mercenary anymore. We learned in yesterday's video that Russia fast tracks foreign fighters to citizenship and therefore engulfing them in the regular army. I really, really am afraid of what would happen to this guy if he went back to the United States, because he made the world news. Like, this guy ran through so many telegrams. Please comment if you've already seen him before. Comment yes or no, guys. Yes or no. Have you seen this guy before? And now we're going to see the people's answers. Let's see how many people had already known about him. And we see him and he's in the regular army now. Guys, let me know if you already knew him. And a lot of you guys are going to say yes. A lot of you guys are on the Telegram, and this guy went through a lot of pages. He went viral on Telegram because it was like a random American that showed up to fight for the Russians. It made news because it was a negative thing. It was viewed as a negative thing. Now, if he were to come back to the United States, I'm scared to see what would happen to him. So yeah, even Step Evans says he commented on the original video. It is lunacy. It is hypocritical of the United States government to post one as a positive and another as a negative. It's crazy. Amy says, haven't seen him before. First impression, he's an articulate, speaking two languages at the same time. Yeah, that guy probably can speak good Russian now. And he absolutely can articulate his thoughts much better than the other guys. Let's see. By the way, guys, I remember I pinned my Telegram on there so you guys can find it. Please join the Telegram. Stay connected with me. I would be happy to have you guys. Right there, you can speak to me directly, and it's gonna be a really good time. The more this channel grows, the better it is. Let's see. I'm trying to find for you guys another video Check this out. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is the ones that bother me the most. Look at this. Look at the title. U.S. Army soldier defects to Russia after fighting for Ukraine. So, defects to Russia. I don't know why it's even defecting. If he was fighting for Ukraine first, he's as a mercenary, why is it defecting? Mercenaries have no flag. Okay, let's see what this is about. This is Jameson's Travels. I think this guy was a Marine before. Let me see if he has the original. I commented on this video.
U.S. Army soldier John McIntyre was a foreign mercenary in Ukraine. Earlier this month, John packed everything. Papers, documents, maps, and so much more. Everything he had gathered over the year and made his long-planned defection.
All right, what we got here, my fine friends, is a former U.S. Army soldier goes over to help with the Ukraine...
Dude, yeah.
Actually, I fled. I went to Odessa. And I actually had to call my mom. I'm like, look,
This was an RT, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to even have it here. The entire time, when he went to Ukraine to fight for Ukraine, his intention was to go to Russia.
Okay, so actually that guy did a freaking special operation. That guy actually went in knowing he was gonna be going to Russia. Interesting. We're gonna watch another video that I have lined up for you. Happy J, Dan, as a former U.S. soldier and as a U.S. citizen, psychologically, if I were at that person, it would be impossible for me to fight for Russia. If you were which one? Let's see here. I'm gonna. You gotta get the real. I hate these guys don't put the original links, man. While I look for the next video, feel free to ask some questions, guys. I'm gonna be looking for some videos here. Oh wow, I didn't know about this. Check this one out. I didn't know this was, this is 5 months ago.
The WKRI.com alert as topping world headlines this morning, a Russian court has sentenced a 72-year-old American for fighting in Ukraine. According to prosecutors, Stephen Hubbard signed a contract with the Ukrainian military after Russia sent troops into Ukraine back in 2022. He fought alongside them until he was captured 2 months later. Hubbard is from Michigan and was sentenced to nearly 7 years. He's the first American known to be convicted of fighting as a mercenary in the Ukrainian conflict.
Okay, so apparently this American, 72 years old, I don't know what the heck got into him. American sentence in Russia for fighting in Ukraine. This was published 5 months ago. It's not making news. It's not making news. ADH asks, damn, people are spreading lies in this room. Russell Bentley is alive and posting on Telegram currently. He is not dead. Well, I don't know. Although I did get a call from him randomly. I don't know if he's alive or dead, but I got a call from his old Telegram. I don't know. Probably it wasn't him, but I talked with him before he passed away. I'm pretty sure his wife confirmed this. But Texas... and I had a conversation before. I don't know. He seemed like a okay guy, but I think his wife confirmed that he was gone. His old Telegram that he used did give me a call, so I don't know if that was a mistake. So anyways, let's just move away from the Texas topic, because the Texas topic is absolutely something unique and for itself and for someone else to digest. I am not really gonna get into that. Yeah, people were charged for what happened to him. Okay, let's see. Okay, I found another video here. It says shameful Russian propaganda. U.S. volunteers fighting in Ukraine slam Trump. Let's see what this says. Let's see what this is all about, guys. We are digesting the internet today. If you haven't seen these videos, we're going to be looking at them together and reacting. The hypocrisy, it still exists, okay? We've already said, if you fight for Ukraine, you come back a hero in the United States. If you fight for Russia, you can probably be persecuted. So Patrick Lancaster is a subscriber of my channel. If we get enough, if you guys would just comment on his videos to make a maybe like a interview with me, I would love to interview him as a combat veteran. Let's look at this.
Hey, my name's Nasty. I'm an American volunteer.
Foreign volunteers fighting within the Ukrainian army have expressed their indignation over the angry spat between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky last week. In a video posted on social media, a day after the disastrous White House meeting, a U.S. national fighting for Ukraine described Trump's words voiced in Oval Office as Russian propaganda coming from the mouth of the American president. An American volunteers from the 13th Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, who introduced himself as Nesty, said the meeting in White House was embarrassing, adding that what Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance painting in
Kharkiv
were not representative of vast majority of Americans.
Hey, my name's Nasty. I'm an American volunteer in Kharkiv Brigade, 13th Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, here with a couple of other foreign volunteers. We just wanted to say that last night's shenanigans with Trump was embarrassing. It's not how foreigners feel about Ukraine at all. None of us would be here if that were the case. There are foreigners come here to fight from all over the world. Not only was what he said rude as fuck, but is full of falsehoods. You know, to say that it's Ukraine's fault. That basically to make it sound like Zelensky's playing a game by saying, "Oh, you don't hold the cards." I thought that was very admirable of Zelensky to say, "Well, we're not playing a card game. It's not a game." And to say that there's a shortage of people fighting here, that's not true at all. There are people here from 58 countries. Now, thousands of people flock from all over the world, in addition to the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers currently fighting. There are people signing up every day. He's painting a really shitty picture that's just bolstering Russian confidence. It's basically Russian propaganda out of the mouth of an American president. It's shameful. I voted for that man 2 times. I've always been a diehard Trump supporter to the point of losing friends over standing up for that man and what he says on TV. But last night he crossed the line. To invite that man from his war-torn country all the way across the world to bring him to a strange place and then berate him and humiliate him on national television was immature, it was childish, it was stupid. It was embarrassing.
I'm Gaz. I'm also an American volunteer here serving with the Kharkiv Brigade. I'm at a loss of words due to the events last night. It was a very unfortunate and unprofessional showing of what us Americans like to portray ourselves as to the rest of the world. All I can say is that the words that were exchanged were not representative of the vast majority of Americans. Although I know that many Americans are opposing funding, etc., at the end of the day, all they want to do, just like me and Nasty here, is help the Ukrainian people. That is what this fight is all about. It's about stopping the spread of evil, the unnecessary killing of civilians, unnecessary missile strikes on children's hospitals, etc. The list goes on. It was very unfair to situate.
Whoa. He just said the unnecessary strikes on children's hospitals. You know, again, if you look at this video, they don't look like they're actually infantry. I see a lot of their gear, and they're lacking a lot of gear for being infantry. If you've been in the military, you know how the military is for infantry units. We wear way more ammunition. We have way more grenades. We have way more gear on us, and these guys are absolutely in a front that's not active. I think they said they were in the Kharkiv front, and these guys might be in the background doing something. They don't look like infantry soldiers. Now, he says that the Russians are bombing children's hospitals. What is he talking about? The Russians, from the very beginning, have decided not to flatten cities. They have the ability. We used in last video, I gave the example of what Israel could do to Gaza. The Russians could do that times 1,000. Yet there hasn't been any cities that have been flattened with mass populations in them. The Russians wait until the civilians are absolutely gone. People are pulled out of these cities, and then they go to war. So we're gonna continue watching this, but just keep in mind, look at how they behave. Maybe we have some veterans in the chat. I don't know if any of you other guys are. Is anybody else here? Was anybody else here in the military in the United States, or just let me know if any of you guys have served in the military, and if you were in the infantry or if you were in a combat role. Study how these guys act and look how they dress. Absolutely not real infantry guys here.
That Zelensky was put in last night. It was a 2-on-1, something I don't think I've ever seen before, and I was not expecting to witness what I witnessed last night when my friends and family were sending me videos that the circling social media, and that everyone was just up in arms about, and it's completely understandable.
So the foreigners here in Ukraine stand for Ukraine. Slava Ukrainian. Slava.
Russian media are distributing a video showing servicemen in Russian armed forces uniforms speaking Chinese and drawing hieroglyphs on walls. There is no official confirmation of the authenticity of the footage yet. On March 2nd, a video was circulated online, which allegedly shows Chinese mercenaries of the Russian armed forces painting the walls of a multi-story building in the Pokrovsk direction. The video shows soldiers writing Chinese characters on a wall inside a damaged apartment building. One of them is wearing a chevron of the assault company of the Country Combat Army Reserve Unit. There is no official confirmation.
Yeah, this is BS. This is BS. Those guys could easily be Russians that live on the Chinese border. There's a lot of Slavic Chinese, and there's a lot of Chinese Russians. This is what I'm saying, the hypocrisy of the news. The news doesn't know that Russia has a huge border with China, where there's a ton of Slavic Chinese citizens and a lot of Chinese that live in Russia. So this is absolute BS. It is absolute blasphemy. How do you explain Korean combatants? Well, that's really simple. The Koreans have a pact with the Russians, and to be honest, if they did have Koreans, they haven't pushed into Ukraine. There's been no video evidence of Ukrainians pushing into Ukraine. So yeah, it is what it is. All right, guys. Yeah, Slavic Chinese doesn't make sense. Well, look, man, you want to see it? I'll show it to you. All right, for the people who don't know about Slavic Chinese people, here you go, bro. These are just people that live, they're Russian heritage, but they, I think, live on the Chinese side, okay? There's a lot of these type of people that live on the wrong side of the border. Dan, you are right. I think Harbin is one area where there are people with Russian Chinese heritage. Yeah, anyways, check this out, bros. This is Dong Desheng is a Chinese with Russian ancestors. He grew up in the China's northeastern border. Okay, so pay attention to this video. Like, I'm not lying to you. I live in Siberia. We have a lot of Asians here. Anyways, man, we're gonna get off of that topic. So anyways, it's really easy to counter the lies from the hypocrisy that is flooding all of the news from the American side, okay? Let's do some final questions here on this quick live today. We were only on for about an hour and 15 minutes right now. Let's try to get to an hour and a half with some closing statements. There is a big problem. The hypocrisy is thrown to our faces. It seems like in America, they choose who's bad and who's good. And it's not fair. A lot of these guys that we saw today should be in jail and jailed by the United States government for doing mercenary work, especially the guys that went into sovereign territory of Russia. A lot of the people who went into Kursk region, that is terrorism. If I, as an American citizen, would go into any other country and start killing people, this is a crime. There is nothing that can clear somebody from law, but the United States did nothing about this. The British government did nothing about this. A lot of citizens from Western countries, a lot of their men went to fight inside of Russia, in the sovereign territory of what Russia is, and nothing is being done. So this live is essentially just calling out the hypocrisy, letting you guys know that I, for one, don't like that, and it feels bad that we live in the same timeline where people are not punished for one thing and they are punished for another. All right, guys. Again, we'll handle some questions, and we will. Thank you, William. My wife is from Mexico, and she is watching a Spanish documentary about a lot of people from South America fighting for Ukraine. Oh, that is true. That is one of the biggest source of whoa, you just took this into a whole new direction. Now I can't get off right now because this one is really, really near and dear to me because this is the truth. So it's not only Colombians, but it's also Venezuelans. Venezuelans border Colombia and they mix and match each other there. So here, let me show you. Let's try to find something about that. All right, so I would say that Colombia and Brazil are the ones that give the most soldiers to Ukraine. And here we go. Look at these guys.
Acá en Ucrania somos Comando de Fuerzas Especiales entrenado en tierra, aire y mar. Pertenecemos al batallón número 49 Karpaz Kashi de Ucrania. Aquí estamos con 100% con valor y gloria, con mística, con energía al 100. Por eso queremos darle un saludo de felicidad y de alegría a todo el pueblo ucraniano, que acá estamos los colombianos luchando por ustedes. Somos máquinas de guerra, milicia viva, al 100%, con valor y gloria. ¡Viva Ucrania! ¡Viva, viva Ucrania!
Whew, that's crazy, brainwashed. So the Colombians are used as meat shields. The Colombians are in a difficult position. They come from a poor country, and yes, it's true. These guys are fighting for money only. They were saying that they were there to defend Ukraine, but no, these guys were absolutely the worst of the worst mercenaries, because they are from Colombia. They are from a place where they can't make money, so you know that they are going for only money. This is only money, where the Americans and these British guys were ideology guys. Ideological purposes were for the Americans. These guys were 100% mercenaries of money. So yes, your wife is watching a documentary. She's absolutely right. South America is giving hundreds of mercenaries to the Ukrainian forces. And it's very unfortunate because they get used as meat shield. Okay, you have to imagine the Ukrainians are known to have superiority complex. Like, they think they're better than everyone. And this is not me saying it. They have forces that are legitimately for being superior minded. They're naughty people, N-A-Z-I people. So let's keep it 100 here. They are being used as meat shield. The Brazilians as well. They're South Americans to the Ukrainians. They are in inferior forces. It doesn't matter if they have more combat experience. They're going to be pushed in the front. There has been less South American mercenaries going to Ukraine recently because the Colombians were captured by the Venezuelan. There were some Colombians that were captured at the airport. They were turned into Russia, and the Colombians have taken huge casualties. They recruit on TikTok, and that is slowed down significantly since the Russians have taken Colombians captives. Let me see here. Check this out.
Ayúdame un poquito más. Y para llevar a la niña también.
Okay, well, in this report, guys, this lady's crying because her son got captured in Venezuela, but the Venezuelan government sent him and another one back to Russia, and they're essentially prisoners of war and going to be working in a labor camp. Recruitment has slowed down significantly on the Colombian side because of videos like these. Okay, so it's how it is, guys. It's how it is, and it's a good thing. You don't want... I think maybe this is a better video.
In a move likely aimed at discouraging foreign involvement in Ukraine's defense efforts, Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB, announced on Friday the detention of 2 Colombian citizens who had reportedly been fighting alongside Ukrainian forces. This marks the first time since the onset of Russia's attack on Ukraine that such an incident has been made public. The detained individuals, Alexander Ante and Jose Aaron Medina, allegedly joined a foreign legion in Ukraine during the summer of 2023. According to reports from Colombian and other Spanish-language media, the men were intercepted in mid-July by Venezuelan authorities during a layover in Caracas as they were en route back to Colombia. Their subsequent extradition to Russia underscores the growing cooperation between Moscow and countries with authoritarian regimes, including Venezuela under President Nicolas Maduro. In an online statement, the FSB claimed that Ante and Medina were found in possession of documents confirming unlawful activity and clothing associated with the Carpathian Sich Battalion, a unit known for including foreign fighters in Ukraine. These items were presented as evidence of the men's involvement in the conflict against Russian forces. On Wednesday, a Moscow court ordered the pre-trial detention of both men at the high-security Lefortovo prison, where they will be held as investigations continue. The charges they face, paid participation in an armed conflict, carry a maximum penalty of up to 15 years in prison under Russian law. Adding to the gravity of the situation, the FSB released a video showing Ante and Medina being led down a corridor with their heads lowered, their identities confirmed on camera under circumstances that appeared coerced. This visual, broadcast widely, seems intended to serve as a warning to other foreign nationals who might consider joining Ukraine's military ranks. While Russia detains foreign fighters on Ukraine's side, it continues its own aggressive recruitment of mercenaries from abroad. Reports have surfaced of Russia targeting recruits in countries such as Cuba and India, luring them with promises of exorbitant salaries and expedited Russian citizenship. Moreover, the Russian state maintains close ties with private military companies like the Wagner Group, which not only plays a significant role in the conflict in Ukraine, but is also increasingly active in Africa, expanding Moscow's influence on the continent. This incident involving the Colombian nationals highlights the perilous risks faced by foreign volunteers in Ukraine and signals a broader geopolitical strategy by Russia to deter international support for Kyiv's resistance. The arrests serve as a stark reminder of the intricate and often dangerous alliances at play in this ongoing conflict.
So this brings up a really good topic. We've seen mercenaries from the United States today. We've seen mercenaries from Colombia. We've seen mercenaries yesterday from England. And there's many more. Poland. There's many more, okay? England, the Scottish, Irish people, all different people are fighting for Ukraine. And the news, again, will not make a big deal out of it. But when the North Koreans were supposedly fighting for the Russian side, it made global news. It's like, oh no, these guys are bringing in another country to help them. And meanwhile, the entire world was arming and sending mercenaries for the other side. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just feels like people are easily brainwashed. Both are wrong. The conflict is wrong. The conflict would have never started if the origin, we know the origin. It is just crazy. So, I think we're almost to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Again, thank everybody who's been watching. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Go check out some of my most recent videos. Go check out my other lives if you missed them. Support the channel. I think there's going to be a peace deal. There's going to be, I might make a live where we get the information about the ceasefire. If there's a negotiation going down and the president speak about it, if there's news about it, I will be covering it. If there isn't, oh well. P. Walker, thank you so much. Spasiba. Right now in the West, if we didn't have double standards, we didn't have any standards at all. That's well said. Oh man, that's hilarious. Well said, man. That's really cool. That made me laugh. If we didn't have double standards, we wouldn't have any standards at all, man. Yeah, and we want to get to 100,000 on this channel. I've been enjoying making these lives for you guys, but please put on your guys' notifications on. If you enjoy these lives, put on the notifications, please, and make sure to join the Russian Experience Telegram. But most important, the notifications lets YouTube know that you're interested in watching some of this type of content, and it'll help out my channel, okay? Thank you guys. I'll see you guys on